Hello,
Perfect.
Guillermo Arriaga. Thank you so much for your visit my home office. You are actor, director, script writer, producer, writer. Your last film was No One Left Behind. Among others, you have produced the films of Alejandro Inarritu. In 2005 at the Cannes Film Festival, you presented The Three Business and won the prize for Best Screenplay. You're also a writer of black novel. Das Feuer, retten, Salvare il Fuego, has been published by Klett-Cotta in Matthias Strobelsow's successful translation. What a reading adventure. Marina Longinus is a dancer and choreographer and leads a completely normal life with her husband and children. The invitation to dance with her troupe in a prison, where many felons are incarcerated, will turn her life completely upside down in no time. It is José Cuauhtémoc, a clever Indian multiple murderer who will blow Marina's mind, literally, that names the two characters of your novel. But the themes of your novel, the war between the cartels, the penal system, and above all, Marina's writing workshop, are just so important themes, isn't it?
Yeah, but first of all, thank you very much, Heiner, for this interview. Thank you for reading me. The book tries to make a radiography of what's happening in Mexico through a love story. But the core of the film is not the love story, is how these two different social classes see each other. Even though the character in the prison doesn't belong to the lowest class, on the contrary, I think that he belongs to the elite of the intellectual Mexican class. And she belongs to the economic powers of the Mexican society. Mm-hmm. So through the vision of these two characters, we see what's going on with Mexico and the walls that are built between two complete different Mexicos.
Mm-hmm. In this sense, your novel is a history also of societies in Mexico, but I think also that literature is one of the most important. So not only writing the novel, but literature with all its aesthetic is the main theme of your book.
Yeah, see, it has many themes. There's the subject of the importance of art, mm-hmm. and different views of art. There's a guy who says in the novel that he's a film director, that it doesn't matter if you mistreat the crew or the actors or you're an asshole. What matters is the film, which mm-hmm. I am completely against it. Mm-hmm. There's this question: if in a library there's the originals of Shakespeare that no one has read before, and there's a fire, who will you save, the bookkeeper or the unknown Shakespeare work? And some characters will say, well, the work it will be forever. And others in which I myself consider to be in that group will say, let's save the bookkeeper. Life has to be above art. If life is not above art, life has no sense. And there's the character of the that is in prison, who's an intellectual who speaks several languages, among them German, which I don't do. He writes with an absolute passion, because being in prison, he doesn't care if it's going to be published or not. He writes for the passion of the writing. Mm-hmm. And I think that I also consider myself in that group. I write literature because I find the process addictive. Mm-hmm. I don't know if my next novel is going to be published or not.
Mm-hmm. Salvare il Fuego is not a real black novel, but it is a novel about influence of literature, the power of art also.
Yes, I don't think it's a black novel. I don't think I have ever written a black novel. I think that I have written literature, drama novels, And I think this is a novel that wants to explore also the function of art. There is in the book, so people who haven't read it, some works written by the inmates mm-hmm. that they write in a fictional workshop. What I am happy is that many people thought that they were real works by the inmates, by the prisoners. No, I invented all the stories that they write.
The blurb, José Cuauhtémoc, brings together everything that has made Mexico what it is today: violence, injustice, and unequal distribution, the repression of the original culture by unscrupulous conquerors. But to put it bluntly, for José Cuauhtémoc, art writing is a means of change its life. Literature, even more precise with this way, power to change is also the theme of your book, that literature has also the power of prediction, of changing the life.
I think that art in general, of course, changes the life of the people who makes it. I think that the importance of art has to do with the curator, what the curator finds of himself and what he is creating. What means to create a book or a short story or a film or a painting or a theater play. And then there's the other part of who's gonna read what I am writing, who's gonna see the film I directed, who's gonna watch the painting I do. And in that sense, art becomes the generator of questions. Mm-hmm. I always think that if you are watching in that direction, all of your life you have been watching in one direction, one book comes and slowly makes you look to other places you have never seen before. Yes. The great books are the ones that makes you a 360 turn. And the greatest of them all is after doing that, goes inside yourself and question yourself. So I think that's the art can change in both senses.
Mm-hmm. Marina literally falls for José and experiences unexpected love frenzy with him. The contrast between confinement, violence, constraints, and her love could hardly be greater, says our blog. But isn't the love story between the two rather kind of trick to compare their two life situations? Now, I don't want to go so far to say that their relationship brings them both freedom, for Marina at least, an incentive for her artistic freedom, to recall again the title of your novel, Salvare el Fuego.
Yes, I think that through this love story, Marina, which is a very wealthy, very, very wealthy choreographer, married to a very, very wealthy financier that has very wealthy friends, that has always lived in a bubble. She's a choreographer of contemporary dance, and her work is okay. Critics emphasize how good it is, but doesn't cause any kind of emotion in no one. It's called perfection. And through this relationship with José Cuauhtémoc, she begins finding that art has to be a little bit more out of control, more chaotic, more anarchic. And she has always been trying to be more very contained with her art. And suddenly, through the knowledge of what happens in the prison and through the knowledge that this love story brings to her, she begins to question her own art, and she begins to make an art that has more power and more substance. In the end, this love story frees her from all these preconceived ideas of what marriage and relationships have to mean in the Mexican and Latin American society.
On my blog, I suggest the reader to read certain passages aloud. Actually, so that the writing workshop character of the book becomes clear. Would you read the 2 paragraphs aloud? In Spanish or in English, life has very different tempos and rhythms. In the German edition, page 205, you know the passage in the Spanish edition?
Yeah, it's 694.
You could read it?
Okay, I have it.
Yes.
Page 171.
Yes.
Here.
Please.
Okay.
2 paragraphs.
2 paragraphs, okay. La vida transcurre a velocidades y ritmos disímiles. Por largos periodos avanza con lentitud y de súbito, en lapsos cortísimos, suceden eventos frenéticos y radicales que la trastornan hasta dejarla reconocible. ¿Cómo y por qué entra uno de esos ríos caóticos y furiosos? Es un misterio. Nos quejamos de la grisura de la cotidianidad, pero con frecuencia es nuestra tabla de salvación. Una existencia sin orden termina por apabullarnos. En la mayor parte de las personas anida la mentalidad del funcionario. Un sueldo mensual seguro, los días organizados hora por hora, despertar al lado del mismo hombre. Una vida predecible donde la energía no se malgasta intentando descifrar lo que depara el mañana. Saberse tranquila, serena, sin subir montañas rusas que nos dejen sin respiración y al borde del vómito. Sin embargo, una parte nuestra es indómita y se revela, y pese a contrariar nuestra razón, nos precipitamos hacia lo desconocido, lo peligroso, lo letal. El sentido común nos pide que nos detengamos. Imposible. Por dentro nos late el pálpito de la adrenalina. No importa que podamos perderlo todo. No importa amenazar la vida propia y la de quienes queremos. No importa rozar la muerte. Proseguimos. La sangre pulsa a chorros, las vísceras se anudan, la vista se nubla. La vida afirmándose como vida. La vida retornando a su forma más primigenia y brutal. La vida por la vida. Ese jueves a las 3 de la tarde pude tomar otras 100 decisiones. Quedarme a jugar con los niños, ir al supermercado, pedirle a Claudio que viniera a la casa a comer y luego me hiciera el amor, invitar a mis amigas a un café, preparar una nueva coreografía, tomarme la tarde y llevar a Claudia al cine. Entre todas, la decisión más sabia hubiera sido no marcarle a José Cuauhtémoc. Ganó la vida. Those are the 2 paragraphs.
Thank you very much. And the novel begins with a ruthless gang warfare between criminal cartels for influence, money, and acts of murder on the block. Can literature change that?
No, I think that, first of all, I don't know other writers how they write. When I begin a novel, I have no idea where it's going, who the characters are, and of course, I have no idea of the ending. Mm-hmm. For me, writing a novel is an adventure, and I began writing completely blind, and I began putting things that happens in my life. I began putting into the novel. So I think that in my case, the novel has to be fed by what's going on in real life. Mm-hmm. I don't make any kind of plan when I am writing. I don't know even how the language is going to be. I see it with a very thin idea of the plot, very thin plot. In my case, was a married, wealthy woman meets a prisoner inside the jail. That was all of what I knew. I didn't know that there was going to be a workshop. I didn't know that he was going to be the son of an indigenous intellectual. I didn't know anything. Mm-hmm. And of course, I didn't know what the end was going to be. So for me, the process of writing is very enjoyable because I write like as a reader. Since I have no idea what's going on, I sit in my computer and say, let's see what happens today.
Yes. When you stop writing the evening, next morning you are astonished what the decision your characters has taken.
No. I don't even think of it anymore. Really? They come alive when I am sitting right here. This is my workplace. I have all of my books that way. No, this is the end of my workplace. I have like 5,000, 6,000 books. I have all my floor is full of books everywhere. But yes, sitting here is where the novel comes alive. Mm. And as I told you before, I am addicted to write. Mm-hmm. So I only want to write. Right now, I write in taxi cabs. For example, now that I went to Berlin, I wrote in the taxi cab. Mm-hmm. From the hotel to the airport. I write in cafes, I write in I don't even want to go to look around the cities. I say, I know this is a great city, I have to go and walk and make some sightseeing, but the novel pushes me.
Life is writing for you.
Yes, I think that, Faulkner used to say that he didn't understand why he wrote such novels. Say, I am a farmer in the middle of nowhere in the south of the United States. Why I write these things? Someone is dictating me, and I feel like that. Like someone is telling me the story. I'm just the one who puts it into pages, but someone else is dictating the story.
Strange how the prison creates his own social laws, brutal as outside, and at the same time orderly with certain rules as only here. Whoever controlled the kitchen controlled the prison. The wardens seem to be the inmates' employees. This internal prison social structure does not allow escape. Those who escape it will hardly be able to get used to another form of life. In the prison, the door is opened only to arbitrariness, and behind José, the door of solitary confinement cell closes for several weeks, where he can just stand. Can your novel also be read as a critic of the penal system in your country?
Yes, it can be read that way, but when I began writing it, I didn't want to make any, I was not denouncing anything. Mm-hmm. I was not even trying to portray Mexican society. I was not trying, I don't want to send a message or a critique to society. I just want to tell a story. In the end, it becomes, readers can take the decision to see if it's a critic of the penal system or not. But I really don't want to make any point at all, aside from telling the story the best way possible.
Mm-hmm. In the midst of the chaos of this chaos, prisoners and Marina find each other on Tuesday and Thursday mornings on the writing workshop. Sure, they appear abruptly, but the vehemence of their language, indeed at times downright an outcry to gain new perspectives about or through writing. What meaning do you want to give to the interspersed text of the prisoners in your novel?
Well, what I wanted to create, as I say before, is ways to tell the story in the better way. I was not trying to make any point at all. Mm-hmm. I just want just to see characters to become alive. That's my only concern, to have characters to become alive, and that characters have their own language. I don't know how Matthias Strobel translated this very difficult language I wrote, because it's written in the hardest slang of the lower classes in Mexico. It has a lot of slang, and even the slang of the north of Mexico is not understood by the people in Mexico City, and the slang from Mexico City is not understood from even in Mexico. The slang I am using is not understood by all the people. So I don't know how Matthias translated this, but the novel, for people who haven't read it, is told in different perspectives. One is in first person, told by the female character, Marina. Then the brother of the male character, Francisco Cuitláhuac, in the second person, talks to his father, who is dead in the cemetery. And then is the story of José Cuauhtémoc, the male protagonist, told with this very witty slang, I think, with a lot of humor. And then there's the text of the inmates in the prison. So the language was very important, and I needed to create a very daily kind of high society language for her, extremely elegant language for the brother, who uses very pompous words, and his construction is very intellectual. Mm-hmm. And then the third person, it's a very chaotic language. And then I needed to create a language for each one of the inmates who tell the stories.
Therefore, I told in my text, which I wrote on the blog, that your novel is also a writing session for the readers. Thank you very much. Your book, Das Feuer, retten, has been published with the translation of Matthias Strobel at Klett-Cotta in this year. Thank you very much.
No, thank you very much, Heiner.